All right, here we have the brand new Insta360 X4 Air. And when I first heard the X4 Air, I was like, okay, it's just like a budget compact version of the X4. But turns out it's like a whole new sensor, 1/1.8-inch sensor in here, as well as the must-have feature, the replaceable lenses. And they were like, hey, to test this camera, we want to sponsor a trip to wherever you want to go. And I was like, easy. I want to go to Tokyo, Japan, and I want to rent a Harley Davidson motorcycle and cruise around and finally end up at the Shikoku Super Rendo, which is Japan's longest off-road trail. And they were like, let's freaking go. Not gonna lie, it can be pretty confusing navigating Japan, but I can speak enough Japanese to get by. Arigato. So anyways, I put on some serious mileage on the bike as well as this camera, so I'll tell you about my experiences, and at the very end I'll tell you my favorite and least favorite thing about this camera. Now, the thing with motorcycle adventures is you have to pack ultra minimalist. So this is basically full of clothes. This is basically full of riding gear. So this is really all the space I have for like my laptop, my cameras, and basically anything else I want to bring. So in terms of cameras, I literally only brought this Insta360 X4 Air and this iPhone 17 Pro Max. And definitely at first, I felt pretty naked without my Sony FX3, but I actually found these two to be a really good combination because with my phone, I have my mid and tight angle lens, right? My telephoto, and the Insta360 is a great ultra wide angle lens, as well as a great camera to film yourself with, because all you got to do is hold the stick out and then it's filming. But I think the most valuable thing that the 360 camera does is you can record without it requiring any of your brain space. That way you can put undivided attention into whatever you're doing, like riding. Or one of the things I really enjoyed about this trip is just going through small towns and just meeting and interacting with the locals and just making new friends. And it's just so much easier to capture that authentic moment with a 360 camera opposed to being like, hey, nice to meet you, let me pull out my professional ass camera and film you, don't worry, I'm a normal guy. All this footage you're seeing is out of the X4 Air in its bone stock setting, so I didn't really adjust anything aside from setting it to 8K and a higher bit rate just to maximize the resolution. But I didn't adjust the sharpness setting, which is interesting because the X5 usually have to go in and lower that digital sharpening so it doesn't look too overly processed. But with this X4 Air, I'm liking where the default sharpness kind of sits, so that's great. Less things to have to adjust and tweak to be happy with the image. And when it comes to low light, I feel like it looks really good here in Tokyo. We have all the city lights in the background, but as we leave the city where we don't have as much ambient lights, we definitely start to see some grain appear. We don't have that pure video mode that it can pop into like the X5 can. So if you put these back to back, X5 is definitely still superior when it comes to low light. It also has a much bigger sensor than the X4 Air, but the X4 Air sensor is bigger than the X4. Now, when it comes to slow-mo, not much there, 6K 50 frames per second. You know, it's something, but it's not going to compete with the X5. Also on by default is adaptive tone. So now as I reframe around, it'll actually adjust my exposure slightly as I shift around and look in different directions. Pretty cool. Now, of course, the downside to any 360 camera is that you do have to reframe in post, meaning more editing time. But I do feel like having a good workflow really streamlines the whole process. Tip that I wish I started doing sooner is exporting these clips in 1:1 square aspect ratio. That way I can roughly do my framing, export it out, and then in Premiere or Resolve or whatever you're editing on, it's nice to be able to just slide it up and down to fine tune the shots you really want to use. And it's also nice to be able to just use that same clip for a vertical extraction and not have to re-export or reframe anything afterwards. Just remember to bump up your resolution so you're maximizing the image. Or like one handy new feature for us Mac users is the file preview. So I could just click on an INSV file and then just hit the space bar. Just a nice super quick way to review the footage. And typically I'll let this camera record for a long period of time, but I only really need a few snippets here and there. So I really take advantage of loop recording, where it'll basically just fill up a certain amount of time and then it'll just cycle back and just start overwriting the oldest footage. So basically if I capture something I want, I just try to go and extract it as soon as I can. And I have a 512 gig memory card in there, so it takes a pretty long time for it to overwrite itself. And I was also a huge fan of road mode. Basically it's the same thing as loop recording, but it basically powers on and starts recording automatically as soon as it detects a charge. So basically when I fire up the motorcycle, it'll automatically turn on and start recording on the camera, assuming I'm plugged in. So it's kind of like the ultimate dash cam for the motorcycle, right? Because it's recording in all directions too, so I can use it to prove my innocence. Like, look, see, I was on the left side of the road, which is the side you drive on in Japan, and also I was stopped first. But I gotta say, this trip to Japan, so awesome. All the highways, perfectly maintained. I mean, out of the 2 weeks I was on the motorcycle, I did not see a single pothole. But there is a catch, which is that you have to pay these tolls. I didn't realize how expensive it was gonna be. It was like $100 some days. It really made me appreciate the American freeways we have here because they're free. Even the parking lots were interesting because there, the motorcycle parking lots are different and separate from the car parking lots. And to get into one of the parking lots, I had to put my 600-pound motorcycle into an elevator, which I've never done before. And then you lock it up on a little leash thing. The parking garages for cars is kind of crazy too. I mean, you pay for your ticket and it delivers the car to you. Honestly, I wasn't expecting my mind to be blown by parking lots. Also, lots of riding in the rain involved, but luckily there's this USB cover so I can charge while riding in the rain. Also, for motorcycle riding, must-have accessory is this motorcycle mount. So it's kind of 3 parts: a carbon fiber stick, which is necessary because otherwise it's going to be wobbling all over the place. Carbon fiber is very stiff. And then you have your clamp on the bottom and a little support arm a little bit higher up. This is how the camera is mounted at the moment. Kind of nice with this bike because there's just so many spots I can mount it on. I've been really impressed with how well it holds up. I mean, if you look at the suspension forks on the bike, you could really see how bumpy this road is. So with all things considered, I feel like the footage comes out really smooth with this setup. Also, this folding stick, absolute must have, so it fits into your pocket, extends out just enough. So this right here can be your wrist strap, but also it's your lens protector. Really well thought out. Oh, did I also mention it has built-in feet? Oh, of course, a must have is replaceable lenses. You never know when you might scuff up your lens. And of course, we should always make sure we have a nice lens cover on when we're transporting it, but sometimes you just have to shove it in your pocket because you've been riding all day and you really have to pee, and it's either protect the camera or pee yourself. I guess I wear this to the onsen. I do not have an actual shower. I only have a butt shower. Basically, there's an onsen, which is like basically a huge bath. So yeah, I'm gonna go check it out. It's interesting because Japan itself is smaller than the size of California, you know, square mileage wise, right? But also it has the population 3 times more than Canada. So I really just imagine all of Japan to be just like this urban condensed just madness, but actually there's a lot of beautiful nature. And there it is, Mount Fuji. And then if I start feeling a little homesick, they have America Village. So you know how like here we have Chinatown and Japantown. So there's an America Village in Japan. It felt like I was in the upside down world where all these Japanese people were like, yeah, America. I actually really enjoyed America Village. It was a good time. There was just enough graffiti there to make me feel like I'm back in LA. But this X4 Air is priced at $399. So that makes it $150 cheaper than the X5. So it's a budget option. It basically takes the place of the X4. I wouldn't buy the X4 anymore just because of the replaceable lenses. Like once you have replaceable lenses, it's like really hard to use a camera without replaceable lenses. When you're using it in like rougher environments, you're just way more at ease. A little size comparison here to the X5 is definitely a little bit bigger, beefier, but you're going to get more capability out of the X5 and it's going to be a little bit heavier, better battery life on the X5. Also check out this little thing. So apparently it just kind of fits on top and look at it. It's like little headphones. It's so cute. But I actually didn't use this at all during the trip because I feel like the audio quality on the internal mic on this camera is actually like maybe some of the best for action cameras. Like when I'm riding, the audio doesn't completely blow it out. You can still hear the motor. And also here's a clip of me just talking straight to the camera. All right, good morning. I'm currently filming on the brand new Insta360 X4 Air. They also do have a wireless microphone that can connect straight to the camera. What I like about it is that you can press a button on it and it actually triggers the record on the camera. So it's like a little remote as well, kind of like the Ring that they have. Sorry, I almost flipped you off. This does have time code. It's not gonna be like super precise frame accurate time code, but it gets everything in the ballpark, which is super helpful, especially when you have multiple cameras and different microphones. I also like to have the twist to record option. So if you're on a long stick or maybe you're all the hands busy, you can just do a little double twist like that and it'll start recording just like that. Another double twist to cut. Done deal. So now time for my favorite and least favorite thing about this camera. Favorite thing is, even though they are designing this for value rather than, you know, cutting edge technology, it still has the features I care about the most, like the replaceable lenses. All the footage I got out of the ride, I'm perfectly satisfied with. And honestly, I think the lighter weight of this is good, especially when you have it on the end of a long stick, right? Least favorite thing about it is definitely the low light is quite far from the X5, so I would personally still lean towards the X5 even though it's an extra 150 bucks. But you know, I guess everyone kind of has different reasons for using 360 cameras. So like if you know you're always going to be filming during the daytime and you would rather have something that's smaller in size or less expensive, this is a pretty good option. But yeah, I think that is all the opinions that fit in my brain. So bye.